Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, Israel preparing to strike back at Hezbollah after a missile attack kills 12 children playing soccer. Israelis are outraged as the nation's leadership gets ready to respond. We're going to bring you the story from Jerusalem. An apology from the organizers of the Olympics in Paris after a presentation in the opening ceremonies offended Christians and others around the world with a sexualized recreation with drag queens of Leonardo da Vinci's famous painting of the Last Supper. His son was taken captive on October 7th, but he says do not negotiate a deal for the hostages. We'll bring you this remarkable story from Israel. And a tragic story right here in America. A police officer with a troubled past shoots a black woman to death in her own home. All those stories are coming up next right here on CBN NewsWatch.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
I want to begin this half hour in Israel, where members of the cabinet have authorized Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant to decide on the manner and timing of the country's response to Hezbollah, after an Iranian-manufactured missile fired by Hezbollah killed 12 children playing soccer in a village on the Lebanese-Israeli border. It happened on Saturday. CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell brings us the story now from Jerusalem.
Members of the Druze villagers remain in shock from the attack.
Big anger, big. I have no feelings that I can explain to you because only now are we waiting for all the children that are in the hospital to return to us safely.
I know one of the boys, he is a relative to mine and he is also a bit of my neighbor. 2 days before the accident, I was playing with him and speaking with him, and then 2 days later, he's dead in the news.
Many Israelis now bracing for greater conflict.
It's going to escalate and there will be war. We're going to war there.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu moved up his U.S. departure to head home and convene his war cabinet. The IDF released details of where Hezbollah fired the rocket, a Falaj 1 that's manufactured in Iran. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant vowed a heavy response.
Hezbollah, Iran's proxy in the region, will not be exonerated for this event. Even with its absurd denials, they fired, they will bear the price.
Sarit Zehavi, CEO of the Alma Research Center, tells CBN News Iran will dictate Hezbollah's next move.
Iran architected the whole campaign against Israel from the south and from the north. It's part of what they call unification of fronts. They want to create a war of attrition that would last a few years to weaken the state of Israel. And that's why I've said we need to deal with the problem and not only talk about responses and incidents.
While Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the U.S. supports Israel's right to defend itself, he's urging the Israelis to constrain their response to prevent a wider Mideast war. On Sunday, Turkish President Erdogan threatened to invade Israel, just like Turkey did in Armenia and Libya. Zehavi warned it's not just Israel's war.
This is not Israel-Hamas war. This is not Israel-Hezbollah war. This is the Iranian campaign against the Western representative in the Middle East, which is the state of Israel. And they are coming after us, but soon they will come after you, because they don't believe in gays' rights. They don't believe in human rights, in women's rights. They don't share the values that we share as democracies. And the Ayatollahs of Iran view their mission to spread the Islamic Revolution values all over the world.
Many countries, including the U.S., France, and Canada, are warning citizens to reconsider travel to Lebanon or evacuate.
For more on this and other developments, turn now to Chris Mitchell. He is joining us from Jerusalem. So, Chris, an immediate response by Israel is expected by many. What could be the reason for waiting?
Well, yes, Ephraim, a lot of people thought we would wake up this morning and Israel and Hezbollah would be in some sort of major war, much more than there has been for the last 10 months or so. Some of the reason for waiting may be just waiting for the right timing. They may want to surprise Hezbollah, and they want to make Hezbollah wait to see exactly how and where and when Israel's going to respond. One other reason would be for allowing foreign nationals to leave Lebanon. There's been a report that a number of leaders from different countries of citizens inside Lebanon called Netanyahu and Israel's leadership to be able to wait for their citizens to leave, and other nations, trying to restrain Israel. The U.S. is trying to restrain Israel. French President Macron has called Benjamin Netanyahu, talking about the dangers of a wider Mideast war. And so Israel should be weighing the consequences of what their response will be. And certainly they may be gathering more intelligence about what would be the best response towards Hezbollah, and making sure that the IDF is ready for any responses by Hezbollah and or Iran once Israel responds to this tragedy on Saturday, killing these 12 young Druze children from 10 to 20 years old.
What can you tell us about what's happening inside Lebanon right now?
Well, we know many people are leaving, that the Beirut airport is pretty full, but actually some of the flights have been curtailed there in the Beirut airport. Many nations are encouraging their citizens to leave. The Lebanese citizens are making preparations for war and the privation that would bring in terms of water, food, power. The Lebanese people themselves, Ephraim, are very weary. There was a banner that was put up in Beirut recently that just said enough. And that was a message to Hezbollah that the Lebanese people and citizens really don't want to be trapped by Hezbollah, because what it's doing, it's a failed state right now, and most people are living in some degree of poverty, and a war would be devastating to a country that's been going through such a hardship for many, many years.
Chris, who are the Druze, and what role do they play in Israeli society?
Well, they're a unique religious group. They're very secretive, and they have a whole combination of different beliefs from different religions. But they do participate in Israeli society. Many Druze serve in the IDF and the army. And the people in this particular village, Magdal Shams, are really not citizens. And the reason for that, Ephraim, is that they believe that in case the Golan Heights was ever given back to Syria, and Israel captured the Golan Heights in the 1967 Six-Day War, they don't want to be considered traitors if Syria ever takes that area over in case. So that's why they're not citizens, but they are residents. And then the Druze themselves are really spread throughout the Middle East in this area. They're in Lebanon, they're in Israel, they're in Syria, and they're in Jordan. And they're about 1 to 1.5 million Druze. And actually, even because of their small size, they're very influential in each of these countries.
Iran has warned of unforeseen consequences of Israeli military actions in Lebanon. How broad is Iran's role in all of this?
Well, Ephraim, they're the masterminds behind all this. As Heavy said in our report, they're exporting their revolution not only to the region, but also to the world. They've supplied the weapons to Hezbollah, as well as Hamas. They've provided the intelligence. And this is all part of their strategy. And some people call it the Ring of Fire, all these proxy groups surrounding Israel that would be Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis down in Yemen, Iranian-backed militias in Syria and Iraq. So really, Iran is the head of the snake, the octopus, as some people call it, really with their strategy to destroy Israel. And as Zehavi said, it's not just Israel's battle, it's the Western battle, and especially the U.S., because their global agenda is to take over the world.
Is Israel trying to avoid a full-scale war with Hezbollah? And would a war with Hezbollah be deadlier than the war with Hamas, with possible attacks on Jerusalem and Tel Aviv?
Yeah, there is a report that says, Israel wants to have a calculated response to be able to respond to this tragic attack but also to prevent a wider Mideast war. It's not a science, and it could change instantly or dramatically. We saw how things changed dramatically on Saturday. But a war with Hezbollah would be much bigger. They're 10 times the size of Hamas. They have more fighters, better trained and more experienced. They have precision-guided missiles, and they could hit Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, or anywhere in the country. So there's a real danger about this possible war with Hezbollah and Israel.
All right, Chris Mitchell from Jerusalem, thanks as always for your insights. Stay safe and know that we here are praying for you and our entire team there on the ground in Israel. I want to turn now to a story that made news around the world. A spokesperson for the Paris Olympics issued an apology Sunday after the opening ceremonies included a presentation mocking the sacred Last Supper of Jesus Christ with a blasphemous drag queen presentation, leading to global outrage. Paris 2024 spokesperson Anne de Camp said, "Clearly there was never an intention to show disrespect to any religious group. If people have taken any offense, we are, of course, really, really sorry." Christians around the world were stunned by the disturbing image, seeing a sexualized recreation of Leonardo da Vinci's famous The Last Supper painting. SpaceX and Tesla owner Elon Musk called it extremely disrespectful to Christians. And House Speaker Mike Johnson posted last night's mockery of the Last Supper was shocking and insulting to Christian people around the world who watched the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games. The war on our faith and traditional values knows no bounds today, but we know that truth and virtue will always prevail. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. You can find the full story at cbnnews.com. Coming up, his son was taken captive on October 7th. Now he has surprising words for the Israeli government. Do not negotiate a prisoner exchange. He tells CBN News what he wants instead. We're going to hear from him right after this.
Get your daily quick start from CBN News. A quick read on the important news of the day delivered right to your inbox. Stay current on breaking news, politics, and entertainment. Go to quickstart.news and subscribe today.
The return of the hostages held in Gaza is a top concern for Israelis. Many hostage families are pressuring the government to negotiate with Hamas for their release. Others are calling for eliminating the terrorist group altogether. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl has this story.
As a security guard at the Nova Festival, Eitan Moore saved many people before Hamas terrorists kidnapped him. He just celebrated his 24th birthday in captivity.
Eitan is a hero. He could escape, but he chose to help people, to save people.
Eitan's father, Zvika Moore, tells CBN News they've received 2 reports from Israeli intelligence that his son is alive.
One before the first deal in the first 50 days after October 7, and the other one was from one of the hostages who got released. He said to the intelligence that he saw Eitan in a tunnel and they sat together and speak.
Shortly after October 7th, Moore felt the need to support a strong military effort rather than a deal with Hamas for the return of his son and other hostages. That's why he helped start the Tikva, or Hope Forum.
We were here in Shalit deal, that crazy deal, and we think that God gave us this role to stop and to save the people of Israel from another crazy deal.
IDF soldier Gilad Shalit, kidnapped by terrorists in 2006, gained his freedom 5 years later in exchange for the release of more than 1,000, mostly Palestinian and some Israeli Arab prisoners. Included in that group, Yehia Sinwar, the Hamas leader in Gaza and mastermind of the October 7th assault.
Only one terrorist enough to make October 7, as we saw. So that's the reason that we established Tikva Forum, because we have different values and messages from the other families.
Ironically, months before the assault, Eitan and his father talked during a Shabbat meal about the deal leading to Gilad Shalit's release.
Eitan told us that if he will be a hostage, he don't allow us to release him for terrorists.
Dozens of hostages' relatives make up the Tikva Forum. Their motto? Only pressure Hamas for the release of the hostages, not the government.
Israel must defeat Hamas, not only for the hostages, but for the other people of Israel, from the 7.5 million Jews here in the state of Israel.
Moore gave prime examples from the 70s where Israel rescued hostages instead of making deals. They included high-profile events like the hijacking that led to the Entebbe raid, the PLO's attack of Tel Aviv's Savoy Hotel, and the attack and kidnapping of children on a field trip in northern Israel. Even so, he doesn't believe all the hostages can be rescued in an operation like we saw in early June.
But Israel can press Hamas. Look, today we were giving Hamas a crazy humanitarian aid. It's not only bread and water, it's cigarettes and candies and pastries and everything. We can see all the markets in Gaza. So we have to make a crisis in Gaza. If we want to get our loved ones, I want them to beg us for a half cup of water. And after they will give us our hostages, we have to continue to crush the Hamas.
And he adds Israel must stay in Gaza and eventually resettle there, because if not, Hamas will only reorganize.
They have only one target, destroying Israel. God gave us this country, and this coastline is like Tel Aviv is our land. So we don't have to be ashamed. This is our only state on the globe.
Moore says it's all about the future of Israel, and that's what the Tikva Forum is.
You must support the state of Israel, and especially Tikva Forum, because as hostages families, we are in the front of the war. I lost my job since October 7, and I'm a father of 8 kids.
He says America must stand with Israel for America's own good.
We are fighting your war. These barbarians are on the way to Europe and to America. If you want to live, you have to stand with us. You have to help us to crush them here before they're coming to America.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Kfar Etzion, Judea and Samaria.
Still ahead, we're going to look at the tragic case of a black woman shot to death in her own home. The person who pulled the trigger is a police officer with a troubled past. Now he faces the possibility of life in prison. We're going to bring you this story. It's coming up right after this. Sunday was a day of mourning for Sonya Massey. She is the Illinois woman shot to death by a police officer with a troubled past. Her case is renewing calls for justice and reform. The officer is charged with murder and could face life in prison if convicted. Charlene Aaron is on the story.
The Justice Department is investigating the death of Sonya Massey, a black woman shot to death in her home by a white sheriff's deputy. It's a case raising questions about the use of deadly police force.
You better not. I swear to God, I'll shoot you right in your face. Okay, I'm sorry. Drop the pot! Drop the pot!
Body cam footage shows the disturbing moment Deputy Sean Grayson shot and killed Sonya Massey. Massey had called 911 after she reported a prowler at her Springfield, Illinois home. Officer Grayson and his partner responded to the call. When deputies told Massie to remove a pot of boiling water from the stove, things quickly escalated.
Away from my husband in water?
Yeah.
Oh, I would rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
Grayson shot Massie, who was unarmed, in the head. He has since been fired from the Sangamon County Sheriff's Department and arrested for murder and other charges.
My first reaction was anger. You know, of course, I felt, I was sad. There was, just a lot of hurt on the inside, just because me as a black female living in the black community, seeing this often.
The case highlights troubling behavior in Grayson's past. According to court records, he held 6 different police jobs over the past 4 years. In 2015 and 2016 came 2 DUI misdemeanors, and before that, an Army discharge for misconduct. Given that history, Chicago Police District Councilwoman Elise Edwards joins many others arguing Grayson should not have been allowed in law enforcement.
Even when an officer is sanctioned and found out, they just move around to other places. And then they're able to continue their misbehavior, their bad behavior, their misconduct.
Grayson also failed to activate his body camera until after firing the fatal shots, a violation of the state's Safety, Accountability, Fairness, and Equity Today Act, also known as the Safety Act. Carlton Mayers, Esquire, helped create the legislation, which includes standards for use of police force.
We can see that law enforcement did not utilize the training that is now mandated under state law when it comes to de-escalation, when it comes to crisis intervention techniques, trainings, and even when it comes to just in general, implicit bias and how you engage with people that have a different lived experience than your own.
Massie struggled with mental health issues, according to family, and during the encounter, police asked if she had taken her medication. Edwards says the rise in these cases points to the need for mental health experts to assist officers during 911 calls.
Why can't we free up their time to actually work on problems that are so urgent that only someone with a gun and badge can handle? So when it is a mental health crisis, we need people who are actually trained.
Meanwhile, the Justice Department is also investigating Massey's murder. Grayson faces 3 counts of first-degree murder, and if convicted, could face years in prison. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Praying for that family for sure. Stay with us. We're coming back with an encouraging word for your Monday ahead.
Download the CBN News app. One place for all of your news. Breaking news alerts. Watch CBN News Channel Live. CBN News. Because truth matters. Get the CBN News app today.
Time now for your Monday motivation. I want to leave you with this thought as we begin another week together. We've all faced trials and disappointment in our lives. And unfortunately, we've also caused a few as well. Still know this, a life disappointment can lead to a divine appointment when you keep your hand in the hand of God. I promise you, nothing will be wasted. With that word, make this a marvelous Monday. Well, that will do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. So good to be back with you. Remember, you can always find more of our news programs on the CBN News channel at any time. You can also find them online. That's cbnnews.com. Take a moment. Let us know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us, newswatch@cbn.com. Come on back and join me tomorrow. We'll see you then.